good people? What is going on? Another episode of the All Go Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I am Desmond. Nice to meet you. Anywho, a lot of exciting football happened this weekend, Saturday especially, and then also it just kind of continued on Sunday. And if you're not a football fan, I just don't know how you could not be a football fan. But anyway, a lot of videos I want to get to today, but the one I wanted to start with is the one I'm most passionate about, and it's the Alabama Crimson Tide. So if you don't know, I'm an Alabama fan, and wow, obviously if you're watching this video, you already know the final score of that Alabama-Texas game, Alabama 20, Texas 19, and the first thing I want to do is give Texas their credit that they are absolutely due. First, from their fan base. They did an amazing job of having DKR absolutely rocking. That was wild. I think Alabama had, if I'm not mistaken, 3 false start penalties, which a lot of that is typically due to crowd noise. Just an amazing environment that made it really difficult on Alabama to operate. And also, if those fans do that every home game this year for Texas, it's going to be a long day for the visiting team. So kudos to the fans. Also, for number one, Steve Sarkisian, which he is by far the best offensive coordinator that Nick Saban has had, especially since Lane Kiffin, because that was when he really changed and went more to the spread offense, kind of tempo. Sark, I think, is the best OC that Saban has had since then. I think Lane Kiffin's probably second, but Sark did a terrific job of calling plays, especially early in that game with Quinn Ewers. They formationed us, they motion, they created a lot of confusion and created matchups. They did a terrific job. I mean, if Xavier Worthy doesn't drop that initial throw by Quinn Ewers in the back of the end zone, I mean, we're talking about a whole different game. Also, if Quinn Ewers doesn't get hurt, we're talking about a whole different game. I firmly believe, as much as I love Alabama, they were going to lose that game if Quinn Ewers doesn't get hurt. And it's odd because if I would have told you, or you would have told me, Alabama is favored by 14 plus, I think it was like 17 or something, 17 plus points. And early in the game, in the first quarter, that team's going to lose their starting quarterback. If you only gave me those two things, one, favored by 17, two, quarterback out in the first quarter, I would have told you this is a Nick Saban Happy Meal. Like, he feasts on this. This is a no-brainer. But Texas just continued to play. That defense was physical. They were fast. They did not make a lot of mistakes. Like, they were on it. They gave Bryce Young fits. They were glued to the receivers all day. Alabama's best receiver was a running back, Jamar Gibbs, which he had a really good game. But I want to make sure I give Texas the credit that they deserve. They did a terrific job. And even Hudson Card, I mean, he was banged up. You could see he had tape on his right ankle. He didn't look right, obviously. And there was another throw, I want to say there was about 7 or 8 minutes left in the game, where, once again, Xavier Worthy is running past all of the Alabama defenders, and Hudson Card just did not have, because of it's his right foot, so that's the foot you plan off of as a right-handed quarterback, he couldn't just deliver the ball with any velocity or accuracy down the field and just missed Worthy. But goodness gracious, if he hits that one, totally different game. And it's not often I say it, but Alabama got lucky on Saturday. They got very lucky. I think, to me, Bryce Young is showing why I think he's the best quarterback in college football, because he did everything that happened offensively that was positive. He did that on his own. Outside of the 81-yard run by Jace McClellan, I mean, it was just Bryce Young just praying for guys to get open, and it just rarely happened. I don't know if it's scheme, I don't know if it's talent, but no one could get open. I look at Burton, I look at Brooks, Trayshawn Holden, Prentice, like nobody. It did not matter. And these are highly recruited, highly ranked guys as far as the recruiting services go. So it's not as if, we're hoping that a 3-star guy can get open. These are guys who are 4 and 5-star recruits who you would expect at least to be able to get open. Now, I have been told or I've heard that a lot of that was scheme issues. I'm not quite sure. All I know is Texas was playing their butts off and Alabama was struggling. Ideally, would like to run the ball a little bit more, especially if the pass game's not rolling. But once again, I mean, the Texas defense had Alabama's offense in a vice. It was just consistently squeezing tighter and tighter. So kudos to them. Alabama gets out of there with a win, and I've seen Alabama teams have kind of the struggle win, if you will. Shout out to Funny Man. I've seen that happen before, and you see for the rest of the season, the Tide kind of snap out of it, and then from there on, they're focused, they're dialed in, they're playing to their potential and past it. But I've also seen, like last year, where they have that struggle win, right, against that LSU team who was pretty bad last year, won that game, one-score game. It should not have been nearly that close, but that didn't snap them out of it at all. They then went to Auburn and struggled, had a win. They then played Florida, if I'm not mistaken, had a struggle win then. So I don't know what's going to happen. I would like to lean on the Nick Saban track record that, this will get turned around, but a lot of people are looking at Bill O'Brien and saying, dude, what the heck? So we'll see what happens. But I mean, unless something drastic changes, the SEC West is going to be wide open. And really, in reality, I think we're all just competing to see who's going to play Georgia and get beat in the SEC championship game either way. Because those guys look like about 11 aliens on the field at any given time, and they are on a different level. So we'll see what happens. That's it for me. Appreciate it for tuning in. Thanks. Peace.